The first thing we try to do is to take pictures of what we see so that we have photographic evidence.
The public has been on edge ever since NASA's live feed was suddenly cut, after it showed a strange object heading toward Earth. It seems like we were never supposed to see this object, especially considering how the camera cut off in the middle of the event. Should we trust NASA when it says this was just a typical system malfunction? Is it possible that the object was some kind of alien craft, as many UFO believers suggest? Or could it have been an old satellite that somehow reappeared after being lost? In today's video, we'll take a closer look at these questions and try to figure out why NASA pulled the plug on the live feed right after spotting something frightening entering our solar system. For many years, scientists have been deeply interested in the activity taking place in space. Their drive to uncover new knowledge has led to constant collaboration with engineers to launch satellites and advance tools into space in search of answers previous generations couldn't find. But recently, the science world was shaken by a surprising turn of events. One of the satellites sent out to provide a clearer view of our surrounding space suddenly shut down without warning. Astronomers watched anxiously as the incident played out in real time. It felt like something you'd only see in a science fiction film. But it wasn't fiction. It was happening. What makes this more confusing is the unknown reason behind the satellite's failure. Some people believe it happened after the satellite came in contact with alien life. This possibility has brought NASA under intense scrutiny from both scientists and UFO enthusiasts. Now, everyone's watching NASA closely, waiting to hear an explanation. At the center of this space-related situation is the International Space Station, ISS. The ISS has been exploring space for years and orbits Earth regularly, thanks to the efforts of the scientists and engineers who built and launched it. Over time, the ISS has gathered a large collection of images and footage of space activity. It has earned the trust of many researchers because of the valuable information it consistently provides. But now, that strong reputation is being tested due to the strange incident caught on its live feed. Conspiracy theorists have turned their attention to the ISS after something unusual appeared during one of its broadcasts. NASA is now dealing with multiple versions of the story, coming from various UFO researchers and alien believers. Normally, the live feed from NASA gives a steady view of Earth from the astronaut's point of view. But this time, something different showed up, and people are struggling to make sense of it. The feed showed a faint light moving toward Earth, catching the attention of everyone watching. What made it even more strange was when the object stopped its descent and began to hover. Just when scientists were trying to figure out what they were seeing, the feed cut off completely. That sudden end to the footage shocked everyone. Since then, researchers, UFO investigators, and conspiracy theorists have jumped into action, putting forward new theories that claim extraterrestrials may be behind the event. And truthfully, with something this strange, it's hard to fault anyone for asking those kinds of questions. Conspiracy theorists have been active ever since this unusual event was made public. Some claim that NASA is deliberately hiding something from the rest of the world. According to them, the agency is trying to keep its secrets from being exposed. That's one way to look at the matter, but several seasoned researchers have warned that focusing too much on this idea could lead to rushed conclusions, which may later be hard to undo. Adding to the long list of speculations, some people think that the strange object seen on the footage might actually be the now-defunct Chinese space station Tiangong-1. It had been in orbit for quite a while before beginning its descent back to Earth. While this explanation may seem possible, it doesn't compare to a much more concerning theory, that the unidentified object could be a meteor on a path toward Earth. This theory has gained traction and stirred anxiety among scientific groups. A few researchers have expressed their concern, saying the last thing we need is another meteor threat. They're hoping this turns out to be a false alarm. Theories keep surfacing from different corners of the world, all trying to make sense of this confusing event. Some in the scientific community argue that NASA holds some responsibility here. They point out that just when the object was about to cross into Earth's outer atmosphere, NASA cut the live visuals. This single decision only added more confusion and made people even more curious. So, it's understandable why opinions are so divided. If the footage had continued and viewers had seen how the object behaved after entering the atmosphere, our current discussion might have taken a very different direction. NASA's decision has now placed it in the middle of an ongoing debate that doesn't seem easy to settle. The agency is under heavy criticism, with many demanding answers since the visual feed ended, before anyone could determine what the object really was. However, NASA hasn't remained silent. They're actively addressing the issue because they don't want years of their efforts to be overshadowed by this mysterious incident. Officials from the space agency have responded to the footage, stating that the object seen from the ISS was not a UFO. Their view is that the object might have been space debris that came close to Earth's outer atmosphere. They also offered several explanations for the light that appeared in the video, suggesting it could be due to various factors. NASA scientists believe it may have been a reflection on the camera lens, radiation hitting the sensor on the ISS's HD Earth viewing system, a satellite, a meteor, or any one of the many pieces of space junk currently orbiting Earth. With these possibilities laid out, they've given the public multiple angles to consider in figuring out what was really captured. To calm the fears stirred up by some theorists, a NASA representative made it clear that no alien spacecraft has been seen near or far from Earth. If this statement is accurate, then the object likely has no connection to aliens or any extraterrestrial presence. NASA has tried to reassure the public, asking everyone to stay calm and not get caught up in wild theories of an alien invasion, as some ethologists have suggested. The agency urges people to look at their explanation for the sudden video cut instead. NASA spokesperson Daniel Hu explained that the footage came from the high-definition Earth viewing experiment on board the ISS. This device is mounted on the outside of the station and was used for a scientific experiment designed to improve our understanding of space. The setup includes several commercial HD cameras pointed at Earth, all housed in a controlled environment with stable temperature and pressure. One interesting part of this experiment is that it runs automatically, cycling through the cameras to capture continuous footage. One of the more detailed explanations NASA has provided is that the space station often moves out of range of the tracking and data relay satellites used to transmit video, voice, and telemetry. NASA explained that during these moments of lost connection, the video stream switches to a higher bandwidth setting, and the cameras show a blue screen that signals either a loss of signal or a default placeholder image. Based on this clarification from NASA, it's clear that the reason behind the interruption of the live broadcast was simply a loss of signal, not a deliberate move by the agency. The drop in transmission happened unexpectedly, which is why the live visuals disappeared and were replaced by a blue screen. Still, this explanation hasn't satisfied conspiracy theorists and ufologists. They believe it's just a cover story meant to distract from what really took place. According to them, the ISS cameras actually caught a glimpse of a UFO, an unidentified flying object visiting Earth from an unknown origin. They claim that the UFO wasn't trying to make contact or enter the planet, but was likely here on a reconnaissance mission to observe us from a distance. During this operation, it unintentionally moved into the wide-angle view of the ISS's high-definition cameras, showing up on NASA's live feed. This leads us to confront the bigger question: do UFOs really exist? Or are they just part of science fiction narratives designed to spark our curiosity? Unidentified flying objects have been part of public conversation for centuries, often resurfacing during discussions about strange objects seen in the sky. While many scientists and skeptics have written them off as hoaxes or misinterpretations, there's a growing number of researchers who argue that UFOs are real. These scientists have provided evidence that critics are finding harder to ignore. Over time, more and more evidence has surfaced, suggesting that UFOs could be real. One example involves CERN's Large Hadron Collider in Geneva, Switzerland, the world's biggest and fastest particle accelerator. Although some people claim these sightings are just optical tricks or hallucinations, many continue to argue that UFOs deserve serious attention and aren't just fabricated stories meant to mislead us. Supporters of this idea have made strong arguments, and their voices are starting to drown out the dismissals from skeptics. Some researchers with years of experience have stated that it would be irresponsible to ignore well-documented UFO encounters. Future generations may criticize us for brushing them aside without proper investigation. That's why it's important to approach this subject with an open mind and avoid personal bias. As our technology and scientific knowledge continue to grow, we can't ignore the many reports and eyewitness accounts of UFO sightings near the Large Hadron Collider. These first-hand stories suggest that alien life might already be watching us, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. And as this topic gains more attention, scientists and researchers are left with more questions about where these mysterious objects are coming from and what they truly are. The LHC has continued to expand our understanding of the universe, and in the process, it has stirred new interest in UFO sightings among ethologists and space enthusiasts. A group of these enthusiasts recently came up with an unusual theory. According to them, some of the experiments carried out at the LHC might have drawn the attention of extraterrestrial beings over the years. In addition to what we've been hearing from the LHC, there have also been visual records and first-hand testimonies of UFO encounters from various parts of the world. But skeptics remain firm in their efforts to discredit these reports. They have consistently worked to find flaws in any evidence presented by believers. Their position is that most of these so-called UFOs are simply misinterpreted sightings of regular aircraft. However, this explanation becomes harder to accept when you take a closer look at the LHC's setting. The Large Hadron Collider, operated by CERN, is located in a rather isolated area in Switzerland. Because of this, the likelihood of confusing a common aircraft with an unidentified flying object is very low. So, the personal accounts of UFO sightings in this area are not likely to be simple errors, no matter what the skeptics say. Dr. Castillo, a physicist currently working at CERN, reported witnessing a strange series of events above the LHC. He described seeing a flying object that emitted a pulsating light while hovering above the facility. When asked for more details, Castillo said the object moved in ways that no aircraft he knows of could replicate. This removes the possibility that he might have confused it with a commercial or military plane. Castillo's experience, combined with several other reports, has led some theorists to argue that claims of the ISS detecting a UFO should not be ignored. If UFOs have been seen near the LHC, then why wouldn't they be visible just beyond Earth's atmosphere? This possibility has made many people uneasy, especially when it raises questions about whether NASA is being completely honest. It suggests that NASA might be keeping more secrets than we thought. While some ethologists claim that NASA is being dishonest, the more interesting part is how much the scientific community's view on UFOs has changed. In the past, most researchers dismissed UFO sightings as confusion with man-made aircraft. But now, more scientists are starting to consider the idea that some of these unidentified objects may not have come from Earth. Their appearance doesn't match anything we've built so far. While public attention was focused on the controversy surrounding NASA cutting its live feed, something else happened that caught people's attention. NASA recently located a long-lost satellite, and it's been a hot topic in scientific circles. To fully understand this story, we need to talk about Scott Tilley, an amateur astronomer who recently began working with NASA. Tilley impressed everyone when he discovered NASA's Imager for Magnetosphere Aurora Global Exploration, or IMAGE. This satellite had been assumed lost due to a system failure more than 12 years ago, but it was still transmitting data. Tilley wrote about the discovery in a blog post, and experts believe that this mission could now be restarted. If this mission is brought back to life, it could mark a new chapter in space research. The IMAGE satellite had once delivered some of the most detailed views of Earth's magnetosphere, and it's thanks to Scott Tilley that this opportunity is back on the table. For several months, he spent his free time tracking radio signals from spy satellites. What he didn't realize was that this hobby would lead to a major find. On the day of the discovery, Tilley had been scanning high Earth orbit, looking for signs of a classified U.S. satellite named Zuma. That satellite was believed to have failed shortly after launch. But instead of finding Zuma, Tilley came across something far more interesting. He picked up a signal from a satellite labeled 2000-051A. When he saw the label, he was surprised because it matched NASA's IMAGE satellite, which had been launched in 2000 and lost contact in December 2005. That mission had cost $150 million and was considered abandoned, until now. Once Tilley reported the news to NASA, it quickly spread through the scientific community. Everyone had assumed the satellite was gone for good, but Tilley's discovery brought back a mission that had long been declared lost. Former members of the IMAGE science team were especially excited about the update. Interestingly, it wasn't just telemetry in the signal. Some believe there might be more data, possibly indicating that a few of the satellite's 6 instruments could still be functional. After Tilley's discovery, project scientists started digging through old software and documentation. NASA also tried capturing images using its deep space radio antennas. But they weren't the only ones keeping a close eye on the situation. Researchers at Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory and the University of California, Berkeley also joined the effort to investigate this further and see how it could benefit the world. These research efforts haven't been without issues, which isn't surprising. Something missing for years is bound to present challenges once it's found. One major concern was the satellite's reduced rotation rate, which researchers believe may have made communication more difficult. The team stayed focused on IMAGE, looking for any signs of data transfer between it and ground control. They discovered that before it went silent, the satellite had already completed a successful mission. Its instruments had functioned like a telescope, giving scientists a global view of charged particles trapped in Earth's magnetic field. Unfortunately, the mission came to an abrupt halt when the satellite's signal suddenly disappeared just before Christmas in 2005, during its extended mission phase. Scientists working on the project were stunned and tried everything to find the signal, but nothing worked. What made it even more confusing was that everything had been working smoothly right up until that point. It felt like a random disaster. For months, they tried to recover the satellite, but it eventually became clear that the chances were slim. They later determined that the issue was likely caused by a malfunction in the system that powered the satellite's transponder. Still, some researchers remained hopeful. They thought IMAGE might reset itself during parts of its orbit, especially when Earth blocks sunlight from reaching its solar panels for a long time, draining its batteries completely. Such eclipses happened again in 2019 and 2023. These events might have helped trigger the system's restart. If that's the case, then we may deserve a pat on the back. Getting the satellite back would be a huge win. Its orbit puts it in a great spot to study Earth's northern auroral zone and possibly reveal findings that we've missed for years. Scientists are hopeful that the satellite could be brought back into action right away. Who knows what kind of discoveries it might help NASA make next? It could even reveal new information about Earth that rivals anything we've learned from the International Space Station so far. Let's see what happens next. Thanks for watching this video to the end. We would love to hear your thoughts on this. See you in the next video.